What's good, YouTube? So today we're going to go over, in my opinion, the top 10 cards of all time that you can rip off the top of your deck and win a game with. So these 10 cards are by themselves able to basically generate game throughout the game state that has been presented. For something that I'm not going to have in this top 10 will be Raigeki, because a lot of the stories I hear about Raigeki could have been prevented by the player that lost to it, and all 10 of these cards in the situation that I am about to say outshine Raigeki and being able to be ripped off the top of the deck for game. In 10th place we have Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. This card on its own often would win games late game or even just blow them out early game for game. Basically 3000 attack, able to attack twice, or being able to banish a problem monster would just enable the player that summoned it to rip open the game state. If you've played GOAT format, which is very popular, you see this card's full power in that the entire game can almost revolve around when this card is played. And even today in Burning Abyss decks, you'll see people tech it and just rip open the game. One of my friends called him Brock Lesnar, and he's about to touch down. Basically, during the regional that he topped, Blackluster Soldier won him a lot of games, so even today it's still relevant and unerrata. In 9th place is a card so powerful they had to errata it. Ring of Destruction, we're going to go with the effect that's not errata. Basically, this card off the top would rip game or even a game state of a tie, and back in the day when you tied you just went to the next game, so it would be like a fresh restart button. So off the top of the deck, I would say this is one of the most painful cards to ever have activated on you. You could be completely winning the game, have full advantage, and then ring off the top on, say, BLS, like we just talked about, would just happen to tie the game even if you were in a clear dominant position in both life points and card advantage. Ring of Destruction, definitely one of the most iconic and painful cards to be ever activated. In 8th place we have Judgment Dragon. So Judgment Dragon would just basically touch down Lightsworns, get 4 different Lightsworns to the graveyard very easily, and it just outshines its counterparts. There were decks that, like, an entire era built around this ritual card called Demise, where you would pay 2,000 and wipe the board of everything but himself. But Judgment Dragon's in a whole nother class of its own. You only pay 1,000 life points. It's much easier to summon, and basically it would just clear the board, and then you can just summon another, like if you have multiple. And many times, thanks to Beckoning the Light, you would have multiple, already melt the grave and just get it back. But there are so many situations I hear, man, he just ripped Judgment Dragon, and there it was, that was a game. So Judgment Dragon definitely earns its place in number 8 on this list. Now in 7th place, and I personally kind of think it should be higher, but there's so many powerful cards, is Monkey Board. Monkey Board, just new on the ban list, was a 1-card scale that could get you pretty much anything you needed. It could get you Joker, and Joker would get you the other scale. It would just get the other scale. Basically, having a 1-card scale was so powerful a mechanic in the game, it went from 3 to 1 almost automatically within just a month of basically being released. And then it went to the next ban list, and it was banned. A 1-card scale is pretty insane in the game, and has no place, basically, as Konami has shown, and being able to be played. So Monkey Board definitely deserves its spot on this list, despite it being new and despite it not having much time in the game. In 6th place, we have Dimension Fusion. Now this card was super powerful and lasted through the game, but it really came to shine towards the Dark Arm formats and even got emergency banned. Dimension Fusion, basically you pay 2,000 life points and both players summon as many removed monsters as they can, which is very unfair because the person who goes first is able to banish a lot of cards faster and then summon. Diamond Dew Turbo would also abuse this card in a very similar fashion. So Dimension Fusion definitely earning its place on this list. In 5th place, you know this card well, it's the icon of Glasgow Yu-Gi-Oh's channel. Infernity Archfiend off the top was one of the most devastating cards to ever get ripped. Infernity Archfiend, when the Infernities would have set all their resources and they all got destroyed, was a 1-card monster that would just go get Mirage, and then everything would pop off. And it was insane how broken that card was on its own. It would build entire boards and take down entire boards as just 1 card. And it was so hard to, like, after you've devastated all these resources, just have it summoned on you. In fourth place, we have the most powerful boss monster of all time. We're gonna go without its errata, Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. And just like its name, it often was the end of the duel. Off of the top, it would nullify any game state and just do an insane amount of damage to the opponent because it would do 300 damage per card for just a cost of 1,000. So it was just the most insane card. There goes the hand, there goes the field for both players, and often there would be a way to garner even more advantage by having Witch or Sangan with it. Now, Chaos Emperor Dragon has been errated in Japan, so people might say, well, it's this way now, but during its time, it made the very first ban list ever, and it's so powerful that they've changed its text in order to bring it back. So Chaos Emperor Dragon definitely earning its place as the highest boss monster on this list. In third place, we have Monster Reborn. You've seen it on the show over and over. You've heard it. It even came back for a format or two. Monster Reborn, definitely one of the most powerful cards to ever have ripped on you. It just brings back the most powerful monster in either player's graveyard. It outshines Premature Burial by far because of what it's able to do. Now, Premi nowadays would have combos that are way better because searching equip cards and being able to balance them and stuff is very powerful. But Monster Reborn, during the time it was able to be played, was one of the most frustrating cards to ever have activated. You would just see Monster Reborn get Demok, Demok get Monster Reborn, Monster Reborn get another Demok, Monster Reborn. Like, you would see these kinds of things happen, and it was insane. So Monster Reborn definitely earning its place high up on this list. So number 2 is a card I actually have a story about personally, is Snatch Steal. So Snatch Steal is definitely one of the most frustrating cards to have ripped because it takes your opponent's most powerful monster and then uses it against them. So basically it guarantees that you are able to conquer your opponent with their own most powerful monster and keep it, unlike Change of Heart or Brain Control. So the thing about the Snatch Steal is that it's just a completely unfair card. We saw it come back while Burning Abyss was a deck, and they would just take the diamond that was the problem and turn it against the opponent. So I have a personal story. My 2007 feature match, my very first feature match when I topped my very first Shonen Jump, I used Snatch Steal in my feature match when my opponent had 4 cards and he had eliminated all cards. I had no cards. Jerome was actually doing the feature match. He's who helps with the YCS coverage now. And he literally stopped typing when I activated Snatch Steal on Jinzo and watched me win back an entire game thanks to 1 card. And it went on several turns because I took the Jinzo. The Jinzo ended up getting taken down, but then I top decked Zanji for exact game on the guy. So like, it was an insane situation where like, it just ends the game in the most frustrating of ways because you take their boss monster. And I can't think of another card besides the number 1 card that causes more salt in this game for such a long period of time. In first place, it earned its own nickname unlike any of these others. Soul Charge is also known as Salt Charge in this game. It has been around for such a long time at 1. Soul Charge just avoids the ban list over and over and over, and we still see it just win games. We see it in the Synchro decks, we see it in Hero decks, we see it in so many different decks where Soul Charge just is the most infuriating card in almost any rank 4 deck that happens, Satellar's included. So Soul Charge is able to just, you pay any amount of life points you wish, so you can almost always activate it. And you bring back as many monsters as you want as able, depending on your life points. And just so often, you can be down against the wall and your 1 card just became 5, and you just turn everything back on your opponent. Salt Charge, aka Soul Charge, is definitely the most powerful card currently in the game, and one of the most frustrating cards to have activated on you, period. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Regeki deserved to be on this list? Do you guys think there are any other cards that should be on this list? I didn't do draw cards like Card of Demise or Pot of Greed because on their own, they could, I've often seen it, they just rip into whiffs. So like, I figured I wouldn't put draw cards on this list, but let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that mayhaps one of these cards should be replaced by Regeki, or should another card be on here? Thanks for watching, guys, and tell me some of your own stories about ripping these cards or having them ripped on you for game.
Be sure to subscribe and also check out the Zodiac Facebook and stream. The links are below. And always feel free to comment and talk about these videos.